Good morning. Good morning. Welcome everybody to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host, Samantha Studebaker-Carl, and I'm here with my good friends Jason and Sandy and Catherine and Lori and Karen, and Angel should be jumping on any moment also. And today we're going to be talking about, continuing our discussion of the book Love, Life, God by Jarrad Hewett. And we are in chapter 11. If you'd like to be following along with us, we're on page 167 with the second paragraph. And but before we get going with our book, I want to give my friends an opportunity to introduce themselves. And for those of you who are watching, we'd love to get a like on our video and a comment as we go along through our discussion. We'd love to hear from you. So if you're out there, let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, jump out, introduce yourselves, and then we can get our book going.
All right, good morning. Everyone's not coming out today. Sandy Root here in Miami Beach. Good to see you all. It's been a while, and I'm happy we're still on the same book. It seems like we've been in this book a long time because I've been gone a long time, but happy to jump right back in with you all.
Good morning, Lori Emmons in Denver. Yay, Sandy, glad to see you.
This is Catherine Clement and Lori. I'm so glad to see you got a picture up. Yay.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Happy 4th of July weekend. Great to see y'all. Glad to be here.
Oh, you're still muted, Karen. I see you trying to talk.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
And you can see me. And I can't see anything but this little black box. I don't know what's going on. So if I make weird faces, never mind. Sandy, it's so good to have you back with us. And Lori, if you've got a picture, I'd like to see it, but like I said, I can't even see me. I'll get off the platform.
All right, Catherine, you want to go ahead and start reading?
All right. Bear with me as I flip back and forth on my phone. Okay. Let me look back and see who's talking here. Okay, so Spirit is talking right now. Your ego is the total summation of your stories and the picture of what those stories create. It houses all that you think you are, yet you are so much more. And as you learn this, your ego loses its grip. There will be a shift in your consciousness, and your ego will not have the hold it once had over you. Know that your ego is also your energy. It is yours to change. Interestingly enough, it's your ego that says, no, this isn't true, I'll die. There is no I that can die, and energetically you know this. It's a game that you play with yourself. Know you're safe. With regard to war, there is most often a buildup of energies that explode or collide. When consciousness can lose its attachment to war, there will be no more war. What better way to lose attachment to war than by just losing it? Trust that when you can know you are your own creator, you will be unaffected. The earth may fall all around you, yet you will be unmoved, as the saying goes. At this point, we wish to claim self-love around everything we've discussed so far on behalf of all consciousness. If there are no more questions, we will proceed with the next chapter. Let's do it. Chapter 12, the unification of body and spirit. Once you've moved into the blank page, the still point, it becomes possible to truly unify the frequencies of body and spirit. The body is the physical manifestation of spirit. The belief has been held on this plane that the body is simply a vessel in which the spirit dwells. This is incorrect, as without the spirit, there would be no body, which is the vessel you have created to experience the physical manifestation of spirit. And then Jarrad asks, why not include the mind? The mind has been thought of as separate from the spirit. It's not. Humanity has also incorrectly ascribed the mind as a function of the brain. And Jarrad says, yeah, I know a few brainy people who are mindless. And Spirit says, cute, but that's the opposite of what we mean. Your brain is a mechanism of function. It performs regulatory tasks within the body and allows communication from within the body. However, thought does not originate in your physical body. You have this idea that your mind is a collection of electrical impulses within the brain. Your mind is not housed in your brain, and neither are you. The brain works much like that of a telephone operator. It routes the energy to the places you direct it. What you think of as mind exists and extends far beyond the physical and exists within the field. Jarrad asks, you mentioned that term earlier. What exactly is the field? As you know it, it is a place of all possibility. As science knows it, it is the interconnectedness of all that is. Jarrad says, I was hoping for something less New Age sounding. All right, your atmosphere is one of the best ways to illustrate what the field actually is. Think of thoughts as wind currents, and the field is the air through which they blow. You can't really separate wind from air, thus you can't separate thought from the field. You can, however, isolate them, meaning that you can have cross currents, opposing currents, tornadoes, etc. Jarrad asks, and in this example, a tornado might be rage or anger. It could be any dominating thought in your atmosphere. It does not have to be viewed as a negative thing. However, if you are holding two opposing forces in the same field, you will create pressure. This is what is creating the stress you are currently feeling. It feels to you as if your body is stressed out, but the body is just a physical manifestation of spirit. Somewhere in your field, you are holding opposing energies. Think of these energies as magnets. The harder you try and pull them together, the more they resist. Jarrad says, just thinking about it stresses me out. And they say, then claim self-love. He says, I am self-love. Look at the difference in what you have written. You hyphenated self and love because this is the frequency which brings both together. Jarrad says, okay, well, I'd like you to finish explaining the field concept and also look at these opposing beliefs and how or where they fit in. Very well. The field is literally the field on which all energy plays in your world. It also expands into the sleep state and bridges dimensions, time, and space. It connects everything. For example, when one has what is termed past life recall, they are simply accessing a now moment from within the field. The perception is that said moment exists in another time or space, but within the field, all exists. Remember our clock metaphor? It is only perspective that causes this illusion of other or separate. Everything exists in the here and now. Precognitive dreams fall into the same category of recall. The future is not a set event, and one is always free to choose, yet all outcomes are present and open. If one, quote, sees the future, they have simply looked out into the field and viewed a now moment in nonlinear time. Jarrad asks, what do you mean nonlinear time? We use that expression because it is the best way for you to begin processing that there is no time. You experience time as accumulated momentum. In other words, now exists because something came before. There is a cause and effect. Your memory stores every single moment. so there appears to be a linear flow to existence. The perception rendered is that your now is the direct result of past events. In correlation, quote, waiting, simply an extension of this belief. You believe that now is the sum of your existence, therefore any future experience must be built towards. Time then becomes an anticipatory experience, either resulting from or building toward another moment. In truth, the only moment that exists is the moment of now. The illusion of time requires a progression and a flow, also a story. If you can start to see that every moment you have ever experienced is simply a now moment, then your concept of time begins to unravel, and you can begin to understand the vastness of existence and how everything is truly happening in the moment of now. And I think we'll stop there, pause there, because I've covered quite a bit.
That's a lot of information. On at the end of the last chapter, a thought that just came up for me when it was talking about, it said, with regard to war, there is most often a buildup of energies that explode or collide. When consciousness can lose its attachments to war, there will be no more war. And that reminded me of relationships. How in a relationship with a person that you have these kind of energies that you have between you, and sometimes they're disagreeing energies, or sometimes they're just frustrations or whatever. And when you allow yourself to wallow in those energies, then you create more strife between two people. But when you let go of those things, or when you fully communicate what you're feeling, for instance, this week I was frustrated with my husband, and it was just random emotional stuff that didn't even make sense. It was just like all this stuff I was stuck on, and I kept spinning it around in my mind of, I was disappointed about this or frustrated about that or whatever it was. And as soon as I went and I talked to him about it, it all dissipated. It just went, and it was, it was gone. And all of that energy, it had all pent up. And then, we had a conversation about it, and then everything was smooth and easy again. And so it just kind of reminded me of that. It's like, if you allow it to build up, then you have all this, unpleasantness. But yet, if you work through it, if you will, versus just fighting it out, then all of that difficult energy loses its power. So I'm like, I feel like it could be very similar with war, and because generally war is started because of these disagreements or unpleasant or whatever we have between different countries. And if we let go of this idea that we needed to go to war to solve our problems, then we wouldn't have to. I mean, we just need to communicate. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. Anyway.
Well, we're not really at war with the whole country. It's whoever's in charge there. And so it's just the personality and the personal experiences getting in the way, and what they think they're representing the entire population. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it seems to me that it's when the energy manifests into a physical reaction that then impedes on others, that you end up with more than just conflicting energies, but you have actual physical conflictions. And so I don't know. I mean, in a practical sense, if it's all, I don't know, it's all happening now, but we have an understanding that it kind of builds upon itself over time. So, what do you do? What do you do with it? What do you do with that? The notions that things are all energy that you're living within now, and that you can, that, you know, I mean, it's great if you could just let go of something and then live in the now, and in the understanding that you are creation and that you are love. And, you know, but when other people's energies manifest into, you know, physical confrontation against you or against others for which you care about, then you're compelled to do something, right? I mean, I don't know. I like what you said there, Samantha, about being able to communicate about things, but then there are also times when you're not given that opportunity to communicate, when people just want to shut you out, and so you're left with those thoughts of that negativity, and or you know, I mean, whatever it is, and you're not given the opportunity to communicate, so you're forced to just let it go. But at the same time, that leaves crosswinds that, you know, you're forced to let go, and then that can cost energies that you might not want, and you have to let go of those. It's you know, very deep stuff, guys. Too early for this.
That's always what happens, right? You know, I was talking about before we got on here about this weird dream that I had this morning, and I think it mentioned something about, so it's talking about thoughts not originating in your physical body, and that they're part of this energetic plane that's outside of the human body. And I thought, you know, it kind of gives me the impression of like our bodies are kind of like a beacon of communication, like a radio receiver or something. And I was like, that's an interesting concept, that, you know, if our spiritual self is part of this plane of existence that's outside of time, you know, and time is an experience we have as humans, and that we as spiritual beings kind of like tap into these human bodies. And it seems like we're right here and right now in this, but we may be more like outside of it, or I don't know. It's just like, that's kind of an interesting concept to consider. I mean, because, you know, you can close your eyes, you can go into a meditative state, and you can go anywhere in any moment, in or what seems like any moment, past or present or future or imagination. Is it imagination, or is it just part of the collective energetic field of spiritual being? You know, I don't know. It's an interesting kind of thought process, because I mean, yeah. And if we let go of this idea of ourself, like the ego self, that we are more than just this self, what does that kind of entail? I mean, it kind of brings me back to this idea of this is like a virtual reality kind of experience. If we put on these little goggles and we become, you know, I'm Samantha today, and this is my experience that I'm having. But if I really wanted to, I can, you know, take off the goggles and you know, go back to a 0 point state, if you will. Like, if like when you go to sleep, I mean, you know, who knows where we are when we're asleep? I don't know. I don't know. Strange dreams happen, experiences, and you know, I've had really, really crazy dreams before where I, well, for instance, this one dream I had years ago, that I thought that I was like a police investigator, and I was investigating this crime scene, and you know, I'm going through this house and I'm seeing all this blood everywhere, and it was like the realest experience. It was so odd that, you know, it was like I was actually there. It was just so strange. And you know, when I woke up, I'm like, I was that person. I really felt like I was that person. And who knows? Maybe when we're in that kind of other shift state, we are tapped into more experiences than what we realize. And I don't know, I'm sure somebody has something else to say on all that.
I love dreams like that. And some of them do seem, I mean, you know, there's dreams, but then there's dreams like that. And it almost, it feels so real. It's almost like you're, you know, there's theories out there that we live multiple lives simultaneously, that we are, because everything's happening all at the same time. So it seems like we've just, our focus has just drifted to a different lifetime, a concurrent one, but a different one from the one that we're currently focused on. And they're so cool. And I've had some really bizarre ones too that seemed so real that when I woke up, I questioned the reality that I was currently in, because the other one seemed more real than the one I woke up to. So they can really play with your mind. And I would have to agree that mind is not, you know, like we're kind of taught through science. And I don't know, I think it's just a generalized, agreed upon concept that the mind is due to the activity of the brain. And that's why when people are brain dead for more than 24 hours or 2 weeks or however long the doctor wants to give them, you know, they say, well, we need to just stop all life support because this person is brain dead. And yet we know from countless experiences that not only do people come out of situations like that, but they come out and they report being able to hear and knowing exactly what was going on the whole time when everybody thought that they were brain dead. So that in itself says a lot about what we don't know about our reality.
I was really reading another book recently. What was it? I can't remember the author. I think it was on Audible, and it was called "Reality Is Not What It Seems." And it's like a quantum physics book, and it's a really interesting one. It's not something I can just continuously listen to because there's a lot of technical jargon that I don't understand. But it's kind of fascinating to listen to some of these authors that study, you know, physics and quantum theories and all of that kind of thing. Very fascinating. And then it's interesting too how we can read a book like this that is very, you know, mind thought and spiritual and if like that, and then I can read a scientific type of book, and then things are just very similar in some of the concepts they present, even though they present them in completely different ways. It's very fascinating. Karen, can we hear you? I see you keep trying to get on and then you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. I can't see you though. All I see is your name.
This is the weirdest experience for me. It really is going back in time when you had to put in your name and you had to do all kinds of stuff. It's been automatic for me for some time, so I keep trying to get it just to be back, you know, to the easy way. But I've been off trying to get that done, and my med tech's been in and had a little conversation with him. My my apartment's leaking. I don't have the ability to turn my sink water on, and I've just got a few things going on. So I'm not sure. I heard Catherine say something that sounded like probably when people are in a coma and we think they're brain dead, they're not. They can hear us and all that kind of thing. And You know, I would like to talk with someone who's been in a coma and um, kind of quiz them on their thoughts about that. You know, they must surely realize that the people around them think that they're not able to hear them. And, you know, so with the things, the various things that come up and are said and all of that, I would be curious to know what their thoughts are as that kind of experience is going on. But other than that, I've missed out on everything, so I'm sorry.
I forgot I was still signed in as you, Mom.
I'd like to say that,
Hello.
and good morning, Angela. You know, whenever we hear about the spirit talking about this entity talking about the spirit and how and the field and the energy and how time doesn't exist, but we only exist in the now. And then it's like, but we know that we know that they know that we experience it as a progression. So isn't it that since we experience it, doesn't that mean that it does exist at least in, you know, we're bound by these bodies and we're, you know, we're here for a reason, then there's a reason that we're experiencing this existence through a progression of time. And so, you know, maybe that in their spiritual state, maybe they're the ones, they can't fully experience you know, they can't experience time. So maybe they're in a way kind of handicapped in that they can't experience time progression, so that they can experience the both the negative and the positive aspects of it, you know, because there's this whole, you know, you can't appreciate one without the other, so to, you know, or at least some people believe that. So I mean, isn't there, I mean, there's purpose in it all, isn't there? Or are they saying that, well, you know, I mean, obviously we can't experience, we only experience existence in the now, but then like what you're talking about with the dreams and our memories, we can experience the past within our mind, and maybe the future in some other worlds in our dreams. So when, I mean, which is the reality, or is all the reality? And, you know, pick and choose, I guess. So it just makes it hard to kind of you know, decide, well, what angle are you supposed to come at it from, for real. You know, not to discount what is being, you know, told to us. Definitely brings a different facets of understanding to everything, but at the same time, I don't think that we should discount our own existence and the own way we perceive things as well, especially since this is kind of the reality that we have to, you know, work with. You know, so for practical purposes, you know, it's great to understand and maybe utilize the energy when we can, and try to manifest things and put ourselves in different states of mind, and so that we can better navigate our realities. But we're still having to deal, you know, work with the vessel that we have, and the realities and environments that we have. So it just makes me wonder what, you know, well, from what we're hearing from this entity and through this book, this conversation, you know, who's in the better position here to have a better understanding of what's going on, the entity, or people on this plane of existence.
And that's the question though, isn't it? You know, is this existence that we're experiencing right now, is this it? Or if we kind of follow these suggestions and let go of this idea of this is the only existence that we have, can we experience things in a different way? You know, I mean, I know that there are people, I mean, there's lots of people in the world that experience reality completely different than what I do, and who spend their time focusing on um, just different ways of living so that they have more of a broader experience, I guess you will. I mean, you know, for instance, people who spend a lot of time in meditation, or people who spend a lot of time communicating with you know, what they say is you know, is people that are dead, or people that are aliens, or I wouldn't say people, but you know, entities or energies, or whatever. I mean, and what about these people who can do like the, what is that, astral projection, or you know, outside of their body experiences? I mean, people can do those things, and that, I, even though I've never experienced it, doesn't mean that I'm not capable of it. It's just not where my focus is. And so then that just, it makes me question, okay, if we get to this, like we try and go into this like 0 point option that it's talking about, where we let go of all our beliefs and let go of all of our ideas of what this reality is. You know, what is possible, what can we accomplish or experience or know, or you know, I don't know. And you know, it makes me go, okay, is my imagination really just another aspect of reality? It's not necessarily imaginary. I mean, we say imaginary as if it's not real. Maybe it is real. It's just real in a different way, and we just don't understand it. I mean, I don't know.
Not sure all of this discussion is straightening anything out for me. Got the spirit world, the imagination, the dreams. It just, how do we make sense of it all and finding purpose in it and knowing what we should do next?
I don't know. I feel like in a lot of ways this is just um, a discussion of what ifs, you know, or you make us think in different ways. And I mean, if we question what we are experiencing in our life and we try and examine it further, what can we learn or experience? You know, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just fascinating to talk about the possibilities of these different things, and whether or not I figure out how to practically apply them in my human existence of now. I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe it'll, you know, I'm confronted with a different situation, I'll have a different idea of how to deal with it because of what we've talked about here. Who knows?
I find it interesting that we can separate, possibly separate ourselves the um, from the things that are, you know, working in our lives, kind of like either like the way we do with our dreams. You can seem to have a totally different life or existence in your dream, and you're not even maybe considering the things that are going on in your woke reality. And that at the same, and also in that we can um, in our woke reality, um, uh, if we choose to come from a 0 point or a blank slate, or choose to consider that how it would be if we just let go of whatever it is going on in our lives, that and so that, and then how freeing that is on ourselves, and that so that we can for me can gain the perspective that, well, what is it that I am manifesting, maybe not maybe not directly, but indirectly, and maybe not consciously, but what is it that I can actually let go of, that doesn't have to persist in my life, that I can let go of, that will allow me to better navigate my reality, be more productive, have better relationships, so that you become aware of the things that are within your control, and those things that were without your control, and that you can better have an understanding about them, and hopefully ultimately have a better life, because you can navigate things with a little bit more of an understanding, and maybe the ability to let go of things, maybe more control over your emotions, and what can what things you're creating in your life through your emotions that you may not have realized, because you weren't given that perspective that we're receiving through for these discussions.
Well, we've got 10 minutes left. Do we want to read some more, or shall we wrap up for today? What do you think?
I don't think we even got started on the chapter 12 that Catherine read.
No, I mean, I think we did. I think we did. Yeah. Because this is talking about this whole concept of not being our body, and that we're, outside of that. I think we talked on that.
Yeah, there was a lot there, and there was quite a bit in the last, bit of the last chapter too, in regards to ego and it being your energy, and as well as your ego. So, and it's ego is a hard thing to kind of wrap your mind around too. It's like your id and your ego, and what which is which, and that, even just that topic is really deep. So, I mean, I had questions just on that little part, but I know we want to move along in the book and everything. So I think there's quite a bit to discuss, actually, but probably be a good time to start our final thoughts. Okay.
Well, I mean, I was just trying to read through here and see, what else we could talk about from what we were just reading. I mean, I was talking about this, cause and effect, and that we seem to be in a linear flow of existence, but yet, it says, perception rendered that now is a direct result of past events, and correlation weighting is simply an extension of this belief. You believe that now is the sum of your existence, therefore any future experience must be built towards. Time then becomes an anticipatory experience. But it says, in truth, the only moment that exists is now, and the illusion of time requires a progression and a flow, also a story. If you can start to see that every moment you have ever experienced is simply a now moment, then your concept of time begins to unravel, and you can begin to understand the vastness of existence and how everything is truly happening in the moment of now. So if we let go of this idea of time, I mean, obviously there's, in this human experience, time is a thing, right? I mean, that's how we track everything. And, we feel like we're experiencing a moment ago, I was talking about a book called Reality is Not What It Seems. And now we're talking about this. So there's this progression of, conversations. But if we are trying to experience everything in a now moment, it'd be like, okay, we pretend to like, or we just let go of the idea that anything happened before now, and that we have no idea what's going to happen next. And so we just are existing in this moment, and we like just see what happens, and quit trying to predict it, or quit trying to assume that we know anything about the future, and that whatever happened in the past is irrelevant. I mean, it's just an interesting kind of how would we go through our days if we just were living by the seat of our pants, if you will? I mean, that's what it kind of gives us the impression of. I mean, I go through my life with this kind of idea of, I have to do these things so that tomorrow is either better or not worse, or or there's like a plan for my future. I mean, what if I didn't have to worry about that? What if I just live in the now right here and not worry about what the future holds for me, not worry about the fact that eventually I'm going to get older and not physically able to do things? Or maybe that's just a story. Maybe that isn't even a real thing. Or I mean, obviously it's real to some extent, as much as I believe it, but maybe if I could let go of that idea, I can live in a perpetual nowness and not end up experiencing things the way that I think I might. I don't know if I
mean, not everybody lives by the seat of their pants. I want to investigate where that phrase came from and what the heck it means.
I kind of think that that's true. It kind of brings up. I mean, you can consider all those things, but the idea is, to me, is that existence depends on time. Time depends on existence. We experience things in the now, but if you don't even think about that idea, then you're experiencing everything through, like they say, a linear progression. I mean, without existence, time wouldn't exist, and without and I mean, it's interesting because the idea of the concept of time travel has been in my environment recently with some different shows that I've been watching, and if you were to be able to travel through time or go back through time to change things, or the idea of alternate timelines where things have been changed slightly, or things are being experienced slightly different and through different timelines, you really expand that. It all expands to the point where it starts to contract and fold back in on itself. So all we have to work with is with our own experience and of time, and to only experience things in the now, we probably wouldn't exist very long. I mean, you wouldn't be planning ahead. You wouldn't need all these inherent abilities, inherent things that are built into our human DNA, so to speak, that we utilize in order to stay alive, or we would exist only in the moment, but for all eternity at the same time. I mean, that doesn't quite coincide either. I mean, talk about conflicting energies, which what is I don't know. I'm like you were saying, Laurie, it doesn't seem like anything's kind of getting worked out in the discussion, but it's definitely just a lot of different questions in regards to all of that. I think appreciating it all, though, in and all that it could be, and then all that we maybe allows us to experience it and the way it is, and have a better appreciation for what's going on, at least. I come back to the idea that where we can go to that blank slate and then kind of just pick or not pick, but better understand the things that we can that we can change in our lives, and but then also have a better understanding about those things that we can't, and maybe help us navigate through this existence that we're all experiencing. So thank you so much, guys, for the discussion. I really enjoy it. It's always mind-bending and provoking. Love you all. Have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Take care and be safe.
Yeah, everybody be safe out there. Love y'all.
I want to pose one more question before we wrap up for today. Okay, or pose another, I don't know, just another thought. I recently came across a question. I got this book of questions recently, and I've been posting some of these questions in our group, and the most recent one, or one of the recent ones that I posted, was if there was an extinction level event going to be happening here in the next, like within a month, what would you do? How would you spend your last month? And the reason I bring up that question is because right now we believe that our lives are going forward, and that we are going to live to a ripe old age of, whatever we think it is. And so we take all these actions in our lives according to what we believe our future holds. And so but in any given moment, we can have a different belief. So for instance, this question about an extinction level event, if that was going to happen, if we believed that was going to happen, we would make completely different choices than what we're making right now. And so at any point, we could choose to believe anything about our future and make choices based on that. And so that kind of makes me go, everything I'm doing is because I think this is how the outcome is going to go, but it may not. It may go completely different than what I believe that it's going to. And what if I just allow for any outcome? Who knows what's going to happen? And if I made my decisions purely on what I'm feeling right now in this moment, my future could unfold in any number of different ways. So I don't know. I just wanted to kind of put that out there as a thought of, I don't know, deeper way of thinking things, I guess. We are choosing our future based on what we're doing right now. And can we choose a different one? Would we want to choose a different one? I don't know. And if we think that, you'll say, we think the world's going to come to an end and we would do things differently, why would we do them that way? And why wouldn't we just do those things now? Those are my final thoughts. Anybody else before we wrap up?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
When you mentioned that that event in a month that would be an extinction kind of event, we've had a couple of times recently, I think, that we've read that some comet is going to come, too close to the Earth to allow the Earth to stay on its orbit, and all that kind of thing. And that is the kind of event that most seems to me that it could really disrupt. I mean, I think one of the things that I'm aware of is that, like, for example, destruction of the condos in Miami, you know, when there's several people involved, several people who are passing, you know, from here to the other side or whatever they're doing, it affects me differently. It causes me to think differently than if my best friend dies, one person. So, you know what, if there's an event like that that were to destroy the planet and everyone on the planet would be affected by that, you know, and you think about, well, where would everybody go? I don't know if you think about this like this, but, you know, are there going to be as many people enter heaven? Are there going to be as many people, you know, there's not going to be so many people caught up, hopefully, in the spirit world as ghosts, kind of, you know, kind of riding space. I see space as being, you know, totally dark and you know, you can't hear the people around you, and you know, you just really feel left alone. Those are some of the thoughts that come up for me. So, as opposed to, you know, continuing on ad infinitum, I'll just share that.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap up for today. I know we all have things going on with this holiday weekend, or we want to have something going on. I really don't know, but anyway, I'm sure that we can find something to do. It's beautiful here. I don't know about you guys, but it is beautiful here in Indiana. We've got warm weather, and it's not too warm, and so cookout time, right? All right, guys, have a happy 4th of July weekend. And for those of you who are watching, if you found this discussion thought-provoking, then to share your thoughts with us. We'd love to hear them or see them on our comment section. And you can do that on YouTube or in Facebook, whichever. And if you want to join our discussion, we'd love to have you come on here with us. We meet generally most Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. And you can join us by going to our Facebook group. Just look for Mindset Mastery Collective, or go to mindsetmasterycollective.com and you'll find a link to get into our Facebook group on our website. So with that, guys, have a great, awesome, amazing week. We'll see you next time on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now.